Go ahead. You were saying.
I've been going down this road of, I think I told you this, that I've stopped writing. Did I tell you this?
Yes.
Okay, I
And
stopped writing, working on myself. Um, so I was thinking about the whole black thing and the way I speak and everything. And I'm starting to realize that I don't know how to put into words yet, so just bear with me. It's going to sound clunky. But like the way I'm speaking right now, it's me, how I speak, but it's not exactly how I speak.
uh,
So you know how code switch, all
yeah.
that. Can you
Yeah.
explain code switching real quick to people who don't know what code switching is?
Uh, Code switching is essentially if, I mean, I can describe it as somebody else's bit. I can't remember whose bit it was. I think it might have been Dave's. It's like essentially it's the idea that as a black person specifically, I can only speak to it in this, and every race kind of has this, that you can switch between like your your black people talking and like how you talk to white people and how you talk in general. Like there's a catch-all way of talking, and then there's like when you're chill or like when you're at a business. Okay, so I guess the overall here's a catch-all that works for any race. You don't talk to your mom the same way you talk to your best friend. Those are two different modes of talking. The switch is between the types of people you're talking to. So it's like your mom is different from your boss. Your boss is different from your best friend. Your best friend is different from even your pet. Like each one of those, or like a girl you're messing with. Like each person in your life has a different mode that you talk to them in. And code switching, I feel like is a like an understandable thing that black people go through, where it's like we have that like within our person to person dynamic, but then we also have setting dynamics of like I can be in business with black people, or I can have my black people friends, or like all that stuff. But then you also have your white friends or white people business. Like it's different dynamics.
So I would say that in the same way that I inherently go negative, I think that that was built, that was a nurture thing. It was hammered in because everything and everyone around me, specifically my mom. But with the code switching thing, the way it's really hard to explain, but I naturally speak. I really hate how fucking describing it this way, but black, I lean more towards that. In my neutral space,
Mm-hmm.
I know I do because I remember growing up and speaking a little bit like that or having friends like that. But then what ended up happening was my mom and my family hammered that down because they wanted me to have a good life and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Um, I would go to school. If I spoke like that, people would come after me, white people would come after me about that.
Mm.
And then after a while, you know, the way you're speaking is getting warped by everything being told around you. So then I was around black people, they're having an issue with how I just spoke because I was being told to speak this way. And then like the wires get crossed and they get fucked with.
Yeah.
And so now I'm starting to realize like the way I'm speaking literally right now
Mm.
isn't the purest way that I actually speak.
Mm.
And I'm still working through that. I don't know how to like fix it. I don't know how
Yeah.
to tweak, you know what I mean?
Right, right. It's one of those like you're one of the problems that we deal with into our late 20s and into your early 30s, for people who are either going through it or people who will go through it, is that you kind of are in this weird mode where now you're most people. This is a huge generalization because I feel like I would even make the hard argument that most people aren't this, but at a certain point, there's a certain group of us who become self-aware, and you become aware of all of your flaws, all of your problems, all the things that made you who you are. You start to deconstruct what is the real you. Once you decided whatever the real you is, it's unwiring all the things you've been groomed to be. All because for when you're born to even like I would say 22, you're a leaf in the wind. Like you're just everything's happening to you. What you become at the end of 22 is like not it's like barely your fault. It is because you do have to take responsibility for your actions, but it's not in that like you didn't know what social group you were going to be around, who your family was going to be, how your like friends would treat you because of what you look like or are, how your personality would form, how you would take TV, movies, television, like all the different things. I said TV and television. Neither here nor there. It's like that you would see all those things, know all that before any of that is like it's out of your hand. Their relationships would affect you. The relationships would even come in or not come in. Like you were in no control. I would say, and even 22 is being generous that it clicks on at that point that you weren't in control and all of those things affected you. But at the point that you recognize that those things affected you, it's trying to undo 2 decades worth of stuff happening to you. And you're trying to find yourself underneath all the weeds. It's like a plant that got grown underneath a fence. Like if the fence wasn't there, you would have grown into be whatever exactly you were gonna be. But you grew around a fence, and so now you're removing the fence, and so parts of you are gonna like fall over and like tumble to the ground and be like, well, now I got no structure. And then you're gonna grow back up and you gotta plant yourself all over again to grow into what you're actually going to be.
Yeah, and that's a good analogy, and that's what I'm working on right now. Like, I'm trying to figure, like, now that I'm not writing, I do feel a lot more relaxed. And
Yeah, you
I
put a lot of pressure on your writing.
it's because I want to get there. I want to be a comedian. That's
Yeah.
all. Like, even I was saying this in the podcast I was working on. Even the goal of improving myself is only so I can be a better comedian. It's like it is my obsession.
Yeah.
So that's why.
To me, it's like whatever gets you there, man. Like I feel like because the way that I learned it, the people that I learned from, RSD, Real Social Dynamics, I really like them. They've become very, very self-help. They used to be like pickup, but now they still do relative pickup stuff, but mostly they push into like self-help and wellness stuff. But essentially, one of the things that they said is, I lost my train of thought. What was the last thing you said?
I said that my goal for self help or whatever I'm doing
Oh,
is
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me what gets you to self-help or what gets you to improve yourself or work on yourself. If you get to working on yourself, great. Like eventually that you'll realize that that is the most important thing. That it will supersede. The cream rises. That is what will become the thing because it's so at the core of everything that once you're working on it, you can't go back. It's this weird thing. But it's also to show you that none of it matters. Like it's like you want to be rich, have women, be successful, you'll get all that and then recognize at the end of the day you're still you and
yeah
you have to deal with you and then none of that mattered. So I'm like, yeah, quickly get all of that stuff
yeah.
and then you'll come back. It comes back to being you. And
I
I'm still working on my thing, but yeah, go ahead.
I think I've come back to like, oh, I need to be me. And one of those things is the way I speak. And that's a really hard thing to grapple with because because now I'm trying to figure out like, well, how do I speak? Like who is making these sounds come out? You know what I mean? And the way I'm saying it and shit. And I know one of the things I've been working on specifically is letting go of other people's opinion of me, knowing that like I have good intentions. Sometimes that doesn't end well, but that's all I can give you is good intentions and me to just try my best. And if you don't like me, if you don't like what I'm doing, you don't like what I'm saying, just don't be around me. Just please leave me alone. That's all I ask. If you don't like me, leave me alone. And so, and I think that was the other thing in childhood is like, if people didn't like me, they wouldn't just leave me alone. They would make sure I knew that they didn't like me because I was loud and obnoxious. I had this personality that makes people feel very comfortable with telling you negative shit. So, so I'm working on that. So what I'm going to start doing is, I think, playing with the way I speak and what sounds natural in my head. And now that I've been working on not accepting what other people say, I think that I can play with that. And even if I get shit for it, I'll be okay now. Like in my youth, I was playing well. I was trying to figure it out, but nobody would let me do it. Like there was no winning. Everybody hey, fuck you. Why are you talking like that? All no matter what it was. And
Yeah.
so now that I think I'm past that a little bit, I also have the comedic tools to come back at people to get them to shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
Um,
it's crazy how good it's a very, I mean, it's a defense mechanism, but it's a great one.
yeah,
Like comedy really does work as a great shield and sword.
yeah,
That like when it is, especially when it comes to the self, is like if you can either a deflect that energy to be like, okay, like joke it off, it didn't hit me because I made a joke out of it, the shield, or they're coming at you and you strike back with like, I may have this voice, but your shoe game is whack, like that type deal. It's like it's crazy how much it feels like one of those tools that's like above us. And I again, we briefly hit on religion, but I do believe that like God gave people certain emotional things to do and get by with. And I definitely think that humor is one. Because I mean, I don't know what we would, and that's why I'm very harsh against the whole like there are things that are too serious that you shouldn't joke about. Which obviously, again, we're comedians, so of course we don't believe that. But it's one of those like I just feel like that doesn't service people. It doesn't where comedy innately has a service and function, not joking about it serves to play in protection. Like it's like like don't talk about it. Like keep it. It is serious. Don't. It's like all that does is make people a victim. And when people are allowed to be a victim, they're gonna use that, and it's just going to just it goes further and further down.
right.
People who have been placated and babied don't turn out like okay on the other side. They just are babies. They just literally can't talk about it or talk or cry about it. But people who can joke about it come out the other side.
I wanted to add another thing. I'm sorry, white women who listen to this episode.
Yeah, we really went a totally different tangent.
Oh, I'm gonna add more to them.
Oh, you're looping back.
I'm
Okay,
moving
good.
back. They white people, specifically white women, because of my instinct to go after women specifically, and white women being the people around me, have
Yeah.
really fucked with my whole sense of pride in my own race.
Mm,
I like when I would code switch naturally, especially when I would get angry. When I get angry is when I don't give a fuck, and it comes out like it really comes out. And um, they would if I code switched, they would get weird with me about it.
mm,
Or I've had different white women laugh at me when I wore a do rag, not for being cool and shit, but just because like my hair is it's like a practical thing that I wear.
uh,
And, and so they would like, because in their head, it's like, well, this is what gang people wear. And they just wear it to be in gangs. And it's like, why are you wearing that? You're not in a gang, Aaron. You're so silly.
right.
So it's that, or when like I would code switch, or when I get into rap music, they look disgusted with me. They didn't like it. So
Yeah.
like there's this is where that anger this is where the anger comes in, and specifically the violence of like I cannot articulate to you in a way that you'll understand. So
Right.
I want to kick the shit out of you now because there's no other way to express to you that what
Right.
you're doing is fucked up, and I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah. Because yeah, I could see where that's a dilemma because it is in the heat of the moment, your first reaction is to go to word. I mean, isn't this the seed of every human conflict? I want to be able to discuss this. I want to be able to work this out without it escalating to a point. Like, I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to hurt you. That's not what I want. But I do want what I want, which whether it be respect, land, money, whatever. Like I want something. I'm trying to communicate to you that I either want you to stop doing something or I want you to give me something. When I'm communicating and you cannot understand the words, like you're not letting the words in, then my only other means of communicating with you is through physical act. And physical act is like last resort, but it's one of those like it conveys the message. I can tell you to stop it. You're not listening to me, but if I make you stop it, you stopped it. Like
Yeah.
it does what it needs to do, but it's a horrible thing that like we really wish and we try to supersede it and we try to go past that in every regard, not even just men to women, like just overall. That's why diplomacy exists. It's like we're trying to not be that, but it's hard. Communication is hard. Communication is hard, especially when like the things that you want do conflict. Like for those girls, like it's literally they have no other experience. Like it's interesting the world we live in where we're both really connected and we're both very like it's both. It's like we're right next door. We experience each other all the time, but the versions of each other that we're experiencing aren't aren't each other. Like it's like if a white person doesn't hang out with black people and they just see what black people are online and what they are in the media and what they are on TV and all this stuff and in books, it's like you get this very cartoony. Like there's a reason that I don't relate to most black like things. Like most black movies, TV, media, all that stuff, it's rarely me. Ever so often I'll find one that is, and that's what the stuff that I love. But it's so far and few between. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna read a comment. My favorite is when white friends say you're not really black or you're not like other black people. You speak so white. Shit is stab worthy. Yep.
Yeah, but like that's the thing is like it's not their fault. Like it's the exact same reason that you feel that way is the exact like because they'll say that and we'll then I can't even say we'll, but like a lot of black people will get offended and like feel bad. But like people, we do that to white people all the time. It's just they're white people, so everybody's like, yeah, white people kind of suck. Like it's just like you're being a sucky white person is actually like imagine it was flipped. Imagine as black people, they just told us like we were on top, we were the thing, and then people were like everybody universally was like, yeah, they suck, they suck, and then we just gotta take it. You just have to take that you suck because like you don't get to say anything because your ancestors were on top, and
Right.
you can either a sell out your own race and be like, yeah, we do suck. You're right. We're the worst. I hate us.
That's William
Which
Henderson.
is, which is a lot of, yeah, which is a lot of white people. Or, or you fight against it and you try to be that person and you try to be like, how do you defend? How do you defend? I'm not racist, but we're not all bad. Do you think it hurts, bothers you more when black people tell you that you're not black enough or that you don't act black? No. I mean, I get it with what everyone's experienced. We know what they're talking about. I know what they're talking about. I'm not that. I'm not that. But it doesn't mean I'm not black. I know what I am. I think this is what the problem is for me. People have it's too the in trying to understand, it's all understanding in trying to understand a race, in trying to understand people, in trying to understand a culture, both, man, it used to hurt both ways still a little bit now. In trying to understand a culture, trying to understand anybody, you box them in order to understand. You do a catch all because it's impossible to know everyone's life story. But the catch alls are wrong because it's like, yes, I am a black person, but that doesn't mean I have. Yes, there are a lot of things that fall in line with that. I do like R&B and rap. Like I do. Like, but I mean, it's pop music now, so how could you not? But like, it's like I do. But like white people, they do have things. I can't even think of any right now off the top of my head, but they do have things. There is a certain level of privilege in some people. There's also like really cool white people. It's just like there are cool white people. You're friends with William Henderson for
Yeah.
a reason. And
Yeah.
it's not just because he hates white people. Like it's like he's a cool person. Like we are the thing. Like it's as dumb as you think it is. We're overthinking it. It's as dumb as you think it is. I'm just a color. Yes, it is a part of who I am, but it's not who I am. It's like it's fine.
So Wait, being light skinned, the only people that really accepted me were my cousins and neighborhood friends. I think our podcast is going to be really good for black people that are told that they act white. Um,
I'm getting that vibe too, which
but
is exactly the demographic, though. You attract what you are.
for me, I agree with everything you're saying, but there's just more anger towards white people. The most racist shit I heard was from a black 11-year-old girl. She said she had me shook. Laugh emoji.
Yeah,
Um,
one of those. Go ahead.
I logically understand everything that you're saying, and
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Emotionally and then realistically within the world,
Uh-huh.
I am angry and I am tired
Yeah.
and I am fed up.
Yeah.
So like I agree with everything in a less crazy world. I agree with you and I think that's very reasonable. But in the world that we live in, those types of people, those types of white people, they won't listen to reason. And I think this is where my Malcolm X comes in. And that
Okay.
is fuck them.
Yeah.
I had a moment. Do you remember Philando Castile?
That no.
Okay. You remember when a lot of black dudes were getting shot and it felt like it was like every month by the cops?
Yes. Yes.
Philando was the one where they had the dash cam. He had his daughter in the back and his girlfriend in the passenger seat.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. Did you see the video?
I know. I'm not subjecting myself to that. I
It,
heard it was that. I got the idea. I'm not putting that stuff. I'm one of those people that I'm so susceptible to information sticking in me for a long time. Like
yeah.
stuff I get easily like seared in. I can't let that in. Like I got it. Even hearing the story is so heartbreaking that it's like I got it. Like it's hard for me to watch scenes in certain movies.
Yeah. You should watch this then. It's bad. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's completely inexcusable. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when other things happened, you hear white people like, "Whoa, but what was he saying to the officer?" And was he like? There's all these little excuses that people
Right.
make. You could not make it with this.
Yeah.
He was like he did everything by the book. He told the officer, he let him know like I have a legal firearm and I have all the paperwork for it, like all of it.
Yeah.
And so when that was going on, that was when I was still in my argue with people on Facebook phase. And yeah, yeah. But Blue Lives Matter people still came out and defended the cop. Yep. So I was in a thread with something about kneeling. Something about kneeling. Then that thread went down and it just went into cops and this whole thing. And this guy was in, what's up?
As it does.
Yes. This guy was on my chat in this argument, this white guy, very conservative guy. So what he did was he made the chat into his own thing. He tagged me into his own little Facebook land. So he had backup.
Yeah.
So when I would respond to him, all of these Blue Lives Matter people came in and would attack me. And so I had the same thought process you had of like, look, I understand, yada, yada, yada. Here's my perspective. And I tried to word that. It did not matter. They didn't give a fuck. It's not about it's tribalism. And it's not about someone's life. It's not about fair. It's not about, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Fuck them. Hold on. There's someone typed. It's upsetting because those white people believe that behavior is normal and justifiable. They hate it when someone comes along and tells them that their worldview allows violence to happen. Preach, God.
Right. Now let me enter my MLK mode and be devil's advocate for white people. I think while everything you said is true, I think it goes deeper. I think that is the problem. I think the problem is everybody's trying to solve it on a surface level, but it goes deeper. We think that us as the black people, the ones who are down, have 200 years of roots, and we're the only ones dealing with that. Like it's like all the jokes, like that's why a lot of my, again, not to link it back to stand up, but we're stand up comedians, so it's gonna happen. But like that's why when I do race humor, I try to acknowledge the white side, because to me, that's so easy to do that it's so easy. Like, yes, what the cop did, wrong. Absolutely. It's not okay. It's not excusable. But you got to think deeper. It goes deeper than that. Imagine you're them, a cop, a cop. You believe in the police force. You believe that they're protecting you from everything. What would it do to your worldview to learn that they are not that with everybody, that there's this weird jacked up thing? And the problem is there is gray area. I personally, we have to trust the police. We're in a situation where you have to. There's a reason. When you're in low income areas, when you're not even low income areas, like just crime in general, because crime happens everywhere. When crime happens, it's like I want to be protected. I don't have firearms. I don't have the right to have firearms, all that stuff. I need backup, so I have to rely on them. So we're already trapped. But there's also a gray area of like, do you, as a fellow Black person, do you feel safe everywhere? Is that because the media, like the Chris Brown joke, not Chris Brown, the Chris Rock joke? The Chris Rock joke is like, is it the media that made you feel like freaking people might do wrong that look like you? Like, because I saw so many movies of people that look like me doing wrong. That's why I think that way. It's not because I have experienced them doing that to me and other people. I don't have family members that actively and hilariously tell me stories of jacked up things that they do, and it's hilarious because they're my family and it didn't happen to me. Like, it's this weird separation that like every race is doing it, but because we're on the bottom, we're allowed to do our thing. They're not allowed to do it, otherwise they're scum. Like, the fact that dude took you out of your chat, and then brought you over to his and got back up. To you, that was like, I got jumped in an argument. And it's like, well, he was probably feeling that way over in your argument, where you're over here. Yes, you're making logical, but you're in your safe spot. You're with your friends, with your family. Everybody is probably on your side. You're also a Black man in your friend group. Like, people aren't going to be like, you know what, Aaron, you got to, like, let that cop do his thing. It's like, no, it's like maybe he didn't have the points that he needed. And he's like, hey, I'm going to come over here. And yes, it gets vitriolic and it gets bad because it does mean it gets that intense because of what it means to people. And I think Black people think that it's a power thing. I don't think it's a power thing. I think it's a self thing. I think it's what does that say about me? What happens when you get cornered? Like, okay, there we go. You to the white women is the white man to you. Like, trying to make a very specific, that's a hard point. Imagine you were white right now trying to make the point that policemen are good. That's a hard fight. That's a hard fight.
So with the Facebook thing, this is purely anecdotal, but in the moment, he wasn't being attacked.
Okay. But again, that's what I'm saying. Much like you, okay, you weren't being attacked by the girl on the bicycle, but you felt attacked.
She looked disappointed in me, Zero.
You don't understand. The way she looked at me was like I had been.
I don't think you're wrong, and I think in many ways you're very right. You are right. This yin and yang thing really works. You are right if the world.
That's what I need to hear. All right, guys, conversation over. Let's get out of here.
If you are right in a philosophical way, you are right.
Okay.
Philosophically, I agree. Okay. This is you're fucking with the worldview, and this is a perspective thing. This is the lens. Everyone thinks that they're the main character in their movie.
Yeah.
So I think, what's up?
I was saying exactly. That's exactly how I think about it.
So I think philosophically, I agree. Realistically, fuck them. Here's why. Here's why. I remember, this is going to be anecdotal. This is all from personal experience, but I was in my youth group with my church filled with white people. All of them were white, and a good deal of them had family in law enforcement because I grew up here, and this is a goddamn Blue Lives Matter bonanza out here. And So I remember I was getting fucked with. I was getting fucked with by the cops. I got arrested for no good goddamn reason. And it was getting followed. I was getting fucked with, and it was scary. Like it was actually scaring me how bad this was getting. And so I'm at church with people who are supposed to be loving and forgiving and Jesus and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And you know what? I will give. Let me add a caveat. I was
Okay.
a middle schooler and a high
Okay.
schooler,
Okay.
and I was me. So I was loud. I was obnoxious. I was aggressive about it, and I
Okay.
understand that.
Right.
So when it came to the way I articulated to the other kids around, I did not. I think it's fair for them to
You didn't
not.
have the tools. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have the tools to communicate reasonably.
Right.
But the adults should have no. I don't give any reprieve to the adults that were around because all they just jumped on the side of all the other kids who were like, "My dad's a cop and he doesn't do any of that." So, and it's like, "Fuck your dad, fuck Steve."
Right. But okay, I'll let you finish.
Steve. By the way, if you ever watch this, I love you,
Oh,
man.
you had a very specific.
I was
I thought that was a catch-all white name.
no,
You have a very specific.
Steve was a very nice man. He's a great cop. He's a great person. He's a good guy. So, Steve, you were the first name that came to. I'm sorry. Okay.
It's so very specific.
Yeah.
Okay, but like, okay, and yes, I just like you did to me, I will give to you. There's tons of gray area, and yes, it's ton. Have you? There's a documentary. I mean, there's several documentaries,
There's a
but
lot
there's
of.
like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of documentaries. But there's a documentary about Ku Klux Klan Nazi members, right? And this Indian lady's going around and she's meeting them and she's having like talks with them, like full on talks in the documentary. And as she's having these talks, at the end of the documentary, there's two of them that they start to come around to like seeing that she's an okay person and that she's not all these things. And they start to come around. But then what happens is the group that accepted them, when it gets out that like they might be like chill with somebody that wasn't, like again, they might be cool with somebody who was the race that they hate. They did. If you ever seen American X, is it American X?
American. Yeah, I know what they
Yeah.
excommunicate.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, it's like it goes deeper. It goes deeper, and that's where my problem is. My problem is people keep yelling at white people like A, they're not us, and B, like you can solve it as if they are like we can solve it. We can solve their deep traumatic, deep
Yeah.
trauma that's been going on for 200 years and has to do with calling their dad a monster and like saying that everyone that looks like them is a monster and they are purposely hurting you by existing. They hurt you by existing, by breathing air as a white person. They are evil because they get privilege, because
Yeah.
that's something they couldn't even control, that they just get that. And you're telling them you're bad. You're wrong. You're a bad, mean, evil person that you don't believe me, having not had my experience, having never experienced. Your whole life has been cops being nice and chill with you and stopping bad people from doing things. But can you believe that the cops went out of their way? That doesn't sound like a wacky story to you. That doesn't sound like maybe something you wouldn't believe, that it'd be a
Absolutely.
little hard to convince somebody. You got to go deeper. You got to go
Absolutely.
way deeper. You got to
I
solve it on a
understand.
level that you got to solve it on a it's not you. Like, it's really weird, but it's like, you got to solve it on a level of, it's not you. It's not you. It's not you. It's not your fault. I get it. But here's the thing. And it's fine. It's fine. But here's the thing. Like, if you could just get, like, I think it goes so quickly into like, I hate you. Like that, like people don't understand the gray area. People don't understand. And I know you're saying like you acknowledge the gray area
Yeah.
and then you want to make your point. No, like, no, it's deeper in the gray. You got to go further. You gotta go further,
I
and you
will give
gotta
another
work with them.
example.
I know it's harder for us. I'm on my rant. Sorry.
All right, I'll
I
wait you
will
done. I'll wait
stop.
you done. I'll wait you done.
I will. I'm almost to the end of it. It's
Okay.
just that. It's just you gotta understand that like it's gonna be harder. It's that joke that's always been made. What's the most difficult drug to get somebody to stop doing?
Is this a riddle?
It's kind of a riddle. What's the hardest drug to get people to stop
Love.
doing? Okay, not that much of a riddle. It's still a drug.
Heroin?
No,
Cigarettes?
no,
Alcohol?
no. You're getting closer though.
Uh,
What's the drug equivalent to
coffee.
alcohol?
Coffee.
No, what's the drug equivalent to alcohol?
Oh, the drug equivalent to alcohol? Codeine? What do you mean?
It's legal now.
Oh, weed?
Weed.
Oh, okay.
Weed is the hardest drug to get someone to quit because there are no negatives, because there are no downsides. It's easy to get somebody to quit heroin. Because all you have to say is, "Hey, man, you're ruining your life. Your teeth are falling out. Hey, this is a freaking dumpster. This isn't really nice." But to get someone to stop doing weed is like, I mean, freaking the no smoke people have been trying to do that for years. They ain't winning. Like it's like you. I couldn't convince you to get off of weed, and it's not like weed doesn't have some negative effects. It's just so tiny, like
Yeah.
comparatively. It's actually it is. You kind of make a bigger point. Alcohol is even harder to get people to stop doing than weed, because at least weed has a stigma from years in the past. Alcohol is something that people constantly do, like it's not poison. It's straight up poison, and you can't convince a single person
I'm
to
literally
stop
gonna drink
drinking.
after this.
Exactly. There's no world where I could convince regular people to stop drinking. Until you can convince people to go back to prohibition, then don't even talk to me about trying to get white people from the same space of
Yeah.
logic that black people went through cocaine, like crack cocaine. White people are drinking alcohol. It's not the same. You're not going to be able to do it from that level. You can do it though. I'm not saying give up. I'm saying we got to go deeper. We got to try harder than that.
Okay.
Harder than, oh man, now they're calling me the N word. Like we were having a conversation, then they got mad and started calling me the N word, and they're a racist. They're done, called it, caught one. This one's a racist. It has nothing to do with that. Was just them being backed into a corner. And much like you against the girl, where it's like all I can do is to hit you, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Like it does show some self control for the white people that don't throw the punch, but you
Yeah.
understand the white people that do throw the punch because they were backed into a corner, and the only thing they can go to get you to stop, to get you to stop being this, to understand their point, to all that is to drop the N bomb. And it may be something that may wreck their lives. It may not allow them to get a job at certain places. It may, because there's still a lot to get away with it, and it's fine.
Kind of.
But it may do all that, but just to get you to stop making them confront the thing that's going on, they'll throw it out there, and we're not better. We're not better. I think a lot of it is that black people, in being underneath, much like women with being underneath, think they're better, but you're not. You just didn't get the power. You just didn't get the power.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to stop you.
No, go ahead. We got
Okay.
15 minutes.
I don't think it's that black people think that we're better. I think that it's that we it doesn't seem like anything has happened to you yet.
Okay.
Has it? I mean, I don't think I haven't gotten any. Has anything happened like dangerous happened to you?
Dangerous racially? No.
Okay. I think
I mean,
that
you could make an argument. It depends on where you want to slice the dice. Because, like, there was this dude that got mad at me and dropped the N-bomb, and he wanted to fight. But again, I don't interact with that energy.
I mean, you literally thought you might lose your life.
Oh, no, I've never been in a life-threatening situation. I personally, of my own adult or like anything, the only dangerous life-threatening situation was when I was in a lower income neighborhood I lived with my auntie. One day, this guy tried to break into her house with a gun and all that stuff. They had it out on the front lawn, but I was a kid being held in the living room, so it was fine.
Was it a white guy?
No, it was a
Oh,
black guy.
okay, let me. So a white person putting you in mortal danger because you are black.
No.
Okay, all right. I don't think that. First off, again, I want to reiterate. Philosophically, I agree with you. You are
Okay.
not wrong with everything that you are saying.
Yes.
But on a personal experience level, I think enough black people have been put in actual danger of losing their lives, losing their loved ones, or losing their freedom of going to jail that they're like, I look, I don't give a shit about your philosophy. You're trying to fuck with my life. And so I used to have this, not I used to, I still in many ways, I have the same philosophical belief that you have. And
Right.
I would try to put that belief into practice. But every time I would try to put that, okay, I'm going to be calm. I'm going to hear you out. Whatever.
Yeah.
Let me look at it from your perspective. They never looked at it from mine, ever.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I'll give you another church story. I really want to reiterate, I'm a kid at this point.
Yeah.
And there are adults I'm dealing with. Okay.
Right.
So I'm a kid and I'm talking to 4 or 5 grown goddamn adults at my church. And I think I was in middle school or early high school, and I was talking about nigger, nigga, N-word, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I was frustrated because I was getting fucking called it. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna sound angry. This is what's gonna happen.
You're fine. It's an angry topic. I get it.
And these adults, these grown fucking adults, were telling me, saying, and I quote, things like, well, there's niggers in every race. I have a fucking mentor, Eric. No offense if you ever listen to this. He was my mentor. This guy was, I want to say he was in his early 20s, white dude, early 20s, and I'm in middle school, early high school. Him and some other guys, they were all adults were going after a black kid, telling them, hey, I'm being called this shit and I'm tired of it. And they're saying, well, I mean, did you not hear they used like white people will use the argument you're making and they'll fucking twist it into something that it's not. Like, you heard the Chris Rock, black people versus niggas.
Yeah.
They cited that as the example of like, well, there's white niggers and they're saying it. They're saying it to me. There's white niggers, there's Mexican niggers, there's Asian niggers, and there's black niggers. And it's like, and I'm a kid, and so I can't articulate like, hey, can you not? Like, in their head, they think they're helping. So philosophically speaking, I know what you're saying. In their head, they think they're helping, but they're fucking not. They're not getting it, and I am tired. I'm done.
And I'm trying to, and that's where this is my thing. Freaking, for me, I'm trying to help. Like you're tired. The reason you get you're tired is because you guys keep trying to do the same thing. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. Again, I agree. I'm naive. I don't have those.
We got a message. Can you hear me?
Hello? I can hear you. You just got really quiet.
Can you hear me now?
Try again.
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yo,
I can hear you, but you're like really quiet for some reason. I know why it happened. My friend tried to call me just now.
I'm gonna read a message that someone wrote. And for anybody who's, what's up?
Hold on. I'm gonna come out and come back in. So we're back.
It's because my phone was dead. That's why.
Okay.
So basically, I know. So I'm tired. Okay.
Gerard is enjoying this. Man, this was insightful and funny as good fellas.
For me, thank you, man. For me, I have spent my entire life worrying about other people and what they think and how they're feeling, that I'm in a place. What's up?
I said, that's fair.
Oh, that I'm in a place now where it's like, okay, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm done with trying. I should not have to explain to you that a man being murdered in front of his daughter and girlfriend is not okay. I shouldn't have to explain to you why people are kneeling. I shouldn't have to explain to you any of this stuff. I'm
Yes.
tired and I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah,
I'm focusing on myself.
right. And so let me say what I was saying before I was cut off. I was saying like you're right experientially. I'm a very blessed, privileged person that I didn't go through those things, but I feel like in my privilege, I'm allowed to speak from a place that very few people are able to speak from. That I've seen it from, I see it as a black person. I relate to it in that I'm in the demographic that's going and has probably happened to me in very, very tiny ways in other spaces. But I'm also, I don't know why it keeps backing me out. I've also had very cool and chill white people in the way that like I know they're us. I know they're human. I know they're people. And
They're
you're
human.
right. You're yeah. And you're right. This is where I'll say you're right. You're right in the regard that you shouldn't have to explain that. You're absolutely right. You shouldn't have to do that. Like in a better world, you shouldn't have to do that. There's no reason that's unacceptable. It should be obvious. Things should be obvious. But we live in this world, and in the same way that that should be obvious, no means no should be obvious. Rape
Right.
should be obvious. But like people still have to explain it. They still have to go down that rabbit hole. And we live in this world. So I'm trying to be the voice again. You're tired. I say relax. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna do it because I feel like there's the few of us who fall in that middle space, like me, the privilege who hasn't felt it, and the like white low income person who has, who's like been next to black people and know they're super chill and like knows like cops can be hecka shady and do messed up stuff and like because there's also an untalked about thing that like we briefly for a second I feel like we were on a very real page when we were doing the 1% stuff. Like I feel like that was a thing that never gets addressed, the disparaging that like at the end of the day, at least at this point, I feel like a lot of that is a money thing. Like a lot of that is a money thing. Like that's what I'm saying. It's a deeper thing. It's like there are other things. It's for me at this point, I feel like race is a distraction to make people talk and argue about that. While meanwhile, it's really a thing that's going on with money, where it's like, how do you get how do you get like freaking the lower income people, if they all united and worked together to bring down the top couple of people and got that spread around the way it should have been and help out and all that stuff, if if they unify and did that together, we'd be in trouble. How do we continue to keep them separated? Make it a race issue. Make it into this other. Make it a sexist issue. Make it a like just distract. Like to me, there's a lot of other things going on, like both internally with person to person, but I think those person to person things are so intertwined with other things, and I feel like we need to address the other things. Like again, you guys like there's a lot of people who are tired of having to explain it from a certain standpoint. From the standpoint of you watched an innocent man get killed in front of his child and girlfriend or wife, fiance, and do nothing wrong, like innocent man. That's a tiring point to have to make to somebody who's like, but maybe in a world where maybe he could have done this. Like I get that
Yeah.
100%. But I would also say it's like, yeah, when you're only making the argument from that one space, you're like, of course this works. Of course this works. Of course this works. And you've been doing that for years. My main argument to simplify, because obviously we've gone twice as long as we should have, but to simplify everything I'm saying, at the very least, that hasn't worked. And you can either A, give up, B, keep banging your head against that same wall and hope that it changes, or three, do something different. And everybody who's trying to do something different goes straight to revolution and violence. And I don't think that's the answer either. But obviously, I'm in my okay.
I think what I'm doing in terms of doing something different is the difference I'm doing is I'm not worrying about anybody else. I'm worrying about myself now.
Yeah.
So like, I think that okay. You know that the when I was telling you the McDonald's interaction.
Yes.
Okay, your instinct is laughter.
Yeah.
What?
It's not their fault. It's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's because you've taken the time to think about you. And so you're thinking about things in your own head. Like when you're playing a video game, you can look at it from first person where you're looking at it from their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it like second person where you see the physical body.
Yeah.
I think you look at the world from first person point of view, and I am constantly trying to go into first person, but I'm always outside of my own body. I'm always outside of myself. And so when I'm interacting with people and people are upsetting me or pissing me off, I'm mad because at them. It's not about what's going on in my head. It's not about how I'm it's like, you did a thing. And now I'm trying to work on like, you know what? Fuck everyone else that did. Unless you're trying to attack it, like literally attack me. I don't care what everyone else is doing. Do your thing. I'm going to focus on what's going on in my head. So, Zero, here's what I'd like to do. This is going to be fun. Okay. Right. When the quarantine is over, would you be up for going to a conservative bar and trying to make trying to change someone's mind? Because I would really love to see it.
Oh, that's the thing. I feel like that's, to me, that's the short answer is no. But the reason is,
you scared?
Yeah, no, it's not a fear thing. I'm not afraid that they'll do anything or that I'll even be proven wrong. I think that's so innately, like that's to me a part of the problem. Is like the gall I would have, like to me it's the white girl issue. We're coming from a place of so if before the argument was like black to white, man to woman, now we're just talking like black man to white man, black man. The gall that I would have to go out of my way to a conservative bar and be like, hey guys, I know you guys have exactly opposite worldviews of me. Let me try to convince you, one person in this bar full of people who are on your side, that my thing is the thing. Hey, Black Lives Matter. How do you feel about that, white man? Like, it's just like that I could do that is such a affront, like such a spit in the face of like again, because if I took a white conservative and he went out of his way to like the most liberal African American, like, I don't know, bar, and they were like, hey guys, I'm here to talk about blue lives. I want to talk about blue lives and how they matter. You'd be like, the is this?
Okay, how about this? No
one wants to go to a bar in Norco, LOL. Open mics there are awesome though, LOL.
They're fun. Maybe, but going to school there wasn't. Oh shit.
Nice.
Nice.
Take that.
I'll modify. If we get put in a situation in the future where race.
Yeah. If we're both, I will agree with that. If you are already in a conversation with somebody, like you decided of your own volition to get into it and I'm around, feel free to be like, hey, you're good at this. Talk to this white person. And I'm like, okay. I got
you. And I want to add some caveats as well.
Okay. Well, so, why do I have handicaps? I mean, because, like, a bunch of handicaps.
Because you'll see.
Okay.
I played this rodeo before. All right. Here's your caveat. You can give them one out. And what I mean by that is like one acknowledging, like, look, I understand where you're coming from. This is a yada yada. I'm not trying to change your world. You get one time of acknowledging that and being like, I understand where you come from. Because with my prediction, here's my prediction. Okay. You're going to say, I understand where you're coming from. And now here's my perspective. And if you don't keep reiterating, I understand where you're coming from, you don't baby these fucking idiots, they're gonna keep. They will not accept what you are saying. So
I feel like that's okay. So let me explain to you why that's wacky. Like why I can't
okay,
agree to those terms and conditions.
okay,
Because you're literally telling me change someone's mind, but don't see it from their perspective. Well, you could say that one time, and if they didn't hear you the one time, good luck. It's
that's
like
fair.
I feel like I have to. Yes, I have to acknowledge that. You have to give
Okay,
me all the tools. Why am I being handicapped? I should be allowed to use all the tools at my disposal. Like like I think you're a coward. You're afraid I might be right, and then you might have to change your view of white people, and they might be cool, and then you'll be like, "Oh no, I've
to,
hated white people for so long." Do
to
you realize in your
clarify,
story that you were a middle schooler talking to 20-year-olds? Already you were wrong. Like, I ain't met a smart 20-year-old in my life. Like, and I'm
to
20.
clarify, to clarify, I don't hate white people.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I, I
Yeah,
just hate white
it's
women.
not deep down in there. I'm sure. Just like we both don't hate women. All right.
But all right, I'll caveat. I'll change what I'm saying because I know what you're saying.
Okay.
It's that I don't I don't I'm trying to figure out how to word
You
that.
don't want to. You don't want to placate them.
Yeah. I don't want you to play. I don't want them to feel. I don't want them to come from that situation thinking that was one of those good ones that made sure that he understood that I was right. Like I don't want them to think that when they leave.
But here's my thing. If you're talking to, you acknowledge that they're a baby. You acknowledge that they're a baby. If you're talking to a baby, are you gonna convince them by screaming at them, or
Look at
do
me.
you kind of gotta like inch them over to the thing? You want them to do a thing. Like you can do the hard like smackdown, but like given our dynamics, you can't. Like you can't. I think baby is an apt metaphor because it's like you can't punch a baby. Like you can't. You're not
You
supposed to
can.
punch. You can, but you're not supposed to punch a baby.
Right.
And so, like, the way you get a baby to do a thing is you just kind of lead them over to the thing and you keep handing, and they're going to throw it, and then you go, no, here's the thing, and they're going to throw it, and then you go, no, and you go, hey, what are we doing? Like, you play the game. It's kind of like we talked about women, right? It's like the things about, like, getting a girl, right? It's like, you can hate on the game. You can hate it that they freaking like 6 foot tall dudes and they want you to be a certain amount of ripped and they'd like you to have your life together or they need you to be funny or they need you to be cool or chill. You could hate that. You could be like, I just want to be able to be me. I want to be the super sweet loser. Why can't she just accept my heart? You could do that, but you're not gonna win. I'm about winning. I don't know about you. I want to win. I don't care how I win. I don't care. I don't care if I babied my way into getting a person to change their mind. I don't care if I used my
What is
money,
winning?
my influence, my power. I get what I want. That's what's important. Sorry.
What
Go
is
ahead.
in this hypothetical situation that we're going to put ourselves in? What is winning for you?
Winning for me in this hypothetical situation would be them saying to me that I understand where you're coming from. Like I get what you're saying. That's fair. I understand where you're coming from. I don't need the whole like freaking I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
realize that I realize my whole life is a lie. Like it's never going to be that. That's an unrealistic thing to ask of a human being, especially when you're talking to a stranger on the street. I would need months of time together, years of time together to undo. We were just talking about you as a person learning about yourself.
yeah,
Like that's you at this point, and you are realizing that's a very special small circle of people who get to self-awareness. That's
yeah.
a hard circle to convince somebody who's unaware to get into. I don't expect that from people. All I expect is that you walk away with a new thought in your head.
I agree, and it's funny because it's so fun. It's so fucking funny. I agree with you. all of the we're not. I'm essentially arguing with younger, more naive me.
Uh,
So like I agree with everything you're saying. To really clarify, I don't hate white people. For anyone that's interpreting me as
no, no, no. Obviously, I was joking earlier.
yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
nobody hates white people. We all had like there was somebody who said it earlier. I have white friends. So somebody said, yeah, the man said just said, "Hey, I have white friends."
Yeah.
We all have. We are fine with white people. Well, Aaron's not fine with white people, but like he tolerates you guys enough to be friends with you.
Yes. I'm just tired. Like I'm tired, I'm jaded, and I've been dealing with this stuff my entire life in a really aggressive manner and a
Yeah,
very
and
violent one.
I think that's the problem. I think you got too much negative feedback, and
I think
I
you
got
got too much positive or not enough negative.
exactly. Yeah, I got not enough. So
Yeah.
somewhere in between us is a nice,
Yay!
and we're gonna find it someday on this show. But that'll probably be episode 249. So look forward to that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, in the green time, thanks for hanging with us, listening to us rant about all this stuff. Who knew we'd get here from a McDonald's talk? But here we are. So plugs. Again, this was A to Z. I'm Zero Rimson. You can find me on Instagram at zero_KR anime. And this is Aaron Chase. You can find him at Aaron Chase91 on Instagram. And you can find this podcast on the Buddy System YouTube. Our
Every
first
Friday.
episode is already up. Episodes come out on Saturday. And as of right now, live streams get recorded whenever they get recorded. So that's what it is. Any final thoughts?
No, it's Friday.
All right. It's Friday. All right, you guys. Have a good one. Later.